You know, when you hear the term cybercrime, what comes to mind? It's easy to picture some new kind of supercriminal, right? Someone cooked up in a lab of code and technology. But is that what's really going on? Is the internet actually creating a whole new breed of offender? Or is there something much, much older at play here? Okay, let's get into it.
And you know, Albert Einstein dropped this chilling thought on us decades before the internet was even a dream. It's the perfect way to frame this whole thing. An axe isn't evil, it's just a tool. The real thing we need to be looking at, as Einstein pointed out, is the person holding it.
So to really see this idea in action, let's start with a true story. This is the case of a guy named Maury Roy Travis. He was a meticulous, brutal serial killer who thought he was completely untouchable. But, as it turns out, he was brought down by one single, tiny digital mistake.
And what's wild about this is just how simple his takedown was. Travis gets arrogant. He sends a map to the media, basically taunting the police about a victim they hadn't found yet. Well, the investigators look at the map and trace it right back to its source, Expedia.com. From there, all they had to do was get a subpoena, and Expedia handed over the IP address that was used to print that map. And that digital address, it led them right to Travis's front door. Just one little digital breadcrumb, and the whole case cracked wide open.
So yeah, the Travis case really makes you stop and ask, right? Did the internet create this monster? Or did it just hand him a new, shiny digital version of an axe? This is the core question we really need to unpack here. And there's actually a name for this knee-jerk reaction to blame technology. It's called technophobia or cyberpanic. It's that immediate fear, that instinct to point the finger at a new tool and see it as the source of the problem, where we completely confuse the instrument with the person's intent. But as you're about to see, this is a pattern we've seen again and again throughout history. And this slide, it just lays it out so clearly. The cotton gin wasn't invented to make slavery worse. The guy who invented the Gatling gun actually hoped it would make war less deadly. The atomic bomb was built to end a war. But in every single case, a powerful new technology had absolutely devastating unintended consequences, all because of the motives of the people who ended up using it. Okay, so if we really want to get to the bottom of this whole technology and crime thing, we need the right tools to think about it. And that means we have to learn to separate how a crime is committed from why it's committed. Let's break down exactly what that means. So first, you've got the modus operandi, or MO for short. This is pretty straightforward. This is the how. It's the method, the technique, the practical stuff a criminal learns to do to get the job done. You know, using a fake name, covering their tracks, or, in Travis's case, printing a map from Expedia. But then, you've got the motive. And this is the big one. This isn't a technique. This is the why. It's that deep-down emotional or psychological need that the criminal is desperately trying to satisfy. It's the engine inside them that's pushing them to do it in the first place. Okay, so this right here, this is probably the most important slide of this whole explainer. It all boils down to this. The MO, the how, is changing all the time. Criminals learn new tricks, new technologies give them new tools, like IP spoofing. But the motive, the why, that stuff is timeless. The need for control, for revenge, for money, those things have been part of the human story forever. Technology changes the axe, but it doesn't change the anger behind the swing. So let's actually dig into a few of these timeless motives, shall we? You're about to see how these fundamental human drivers pop up over and over again. It doesn't matter if the crime involves a computer or a club.
All right, first up, the power-assertive motive. This is all about an offender using aggression to show their dominance, to kind of restore their own sense of self-worth. They genuinely feel entitled to control other people.
The psychology here is it's fascinating. These aren't offenders who are driven by, say, desperation. They aren't full of self-doubt. No, they're absolutely convinced of their own superiority and their right to do what they do. The crime is literally how they express their authority over everyone else, and this feeling of mastery, it often makes them sloppy, because they have zero respect for the police and very little fear of getting caught. And here's a perfect and honestly super creepy example. It's the case of a teenager named Billy Tamai. He used his tech know-how to completely take over his family's home. I'm talking the TV, the phones, even the power. And he did it all just to terrorize his own parents and show them that he was in absolute control. His tools were totally modern, but his motive, that raw need for power, is as ancient as it gets. Okay, moving on. We've got the anger retaliatory motive. Now, this isn't about control. This is about pure rage. It's an explosive, violent release of aggression, usually aimed at someone the offender feels has wronged them.
The key thing to get here is that this is all about revenge, pure and simple. Now, the victim might be the specific person who made them angry, or they could just be a symbol, a stand-in, for whatever the offender is really mad at. The whole point for them is to let out all that built-up aggression. The violence is the goal. It's the only way they know how to get rid of that rage.
And this is just a tragic but perfect example. The story of Raymond Stumpf. He murdered his wife after they argued about an online relationship she was having. Now sure, the internet was a part of their argument, but it didn't cause the murder. The motive was retaliatory rage, a story as old as humanity. The technology was just scenery.
And finally, we come to what is easily the most disturbing motive: anger excitation, which is also just known as sadism. This is where an offender gets sexual gratification directly from causing pain and suffering to a victim.
Okay, so what you really have to understand here is that for a sadist, the aggression is the sexual act. The violence isn't just a part of it, it's the whole point. And that's why the victim has to be conscious and aware. Their terror, their pain, that's what the offender needs for their gratification. It's all about playing out their own violent personal fantasies.
And just like that, we're right back where we started, with Maury Roy Travis. Using Expedia.com, that was his MO. That was his how. But the videotapes he made of his crimes, they revealed his why. He was a sadist. He didn't just kill his victims, he tormented them, tortured them, all to live out his sick fantasies of total dominance. The internet didn't make him a sadist. It was just a new tool he used to serve a very ancient, very dark impulse.
So, where does that leave us? After looking at the evidence, the cases, the psychology, what's the final verdict? What are we supposed to take away from all this?
It really boils down to this. Technology is neutral. It's just a tool. It's an amplifier. It doesn't create new kinds of criminals out of thin air. What it does is offer new, maybe more efficient, and sometimes harder to trace ways for people to act on the exact same motives that have been driving crime for all of human history. The responsibility always comes back to the human behind the code.
And so that leaves us, you and me, with a really big question. As our world keeps getting more and more digital, faster than we can even keep up with, the real challenge isn't just trying to guess what the next tech gadget will be. The real challenge is about us. It's never about the axe. It's always about the hand that picks it up. What are we going to choose to do with these incredibly powerful tools we keep creating?